Back to Spokane Talks Live, and you can tell it's live because I just get told in my ear, we're back now, as I'm shuffling through papers and trying to figure out. Now, a little backstory. We're going to talk about fiduciary responsibilities. So, Don's number one gal there at his office sends me a 38-page background on it. And I asked Ryan this morning, do you have something shorter? He sends me an 18-page.
You said shorter.
Yeah.
Definition, that's shorter.
Yeah. And so I send back to Don and Ryan, and Don sends me 4 or 5 points.
No, but I started with the right lead-in.
Yes. And speaking, did we show the video? Okay, we're going to show the video right now, which will kind of set things up, and then we'll talk. Okay?
Perfect.
Absolutely.
All right.
Here is a little peninsula, and here is a viaduct leading over to the mainland. Viaduct. I'm all right. How are you? I say here is a little peninsula, and here is a viaduct leading over to the mainland. All right. Viaduct. I'm not playing Ask Me Another. I say that's a viaduct. All right. Viaduct. It's viaduct. Why no chicken? I don't know why no chicken. I'm a stranger here myself. All I know is that it's a viaduct. You try to cross over there in a chicken, and you'll find out viaduct. I know go someplace. It's deep water. That's viaduct. It's deep water. That's viaduct. Look, Rube. Suppose you were out horseback riding and you came to that stream and you wanted to ford over. You couldn't make it. It's too deep. Well, why do you want with a ford if you got a horse? Well, I'm sorry the matter ever came up. All I know is that it's a viaduct. Well, look, all right. I catch on to why a horse, so why a chicken, why this, why that. I don't catch on to why a dog. Well, I was only fooling. I was only fooling. They're going to build a tunnel there in the morning.
And welcome back. That was the setup. And Don Morgan on the way left of the screen. And
Hey, wait a second. Why did I get the left side?
Because you're so liberal.
Yeah, right.
It's stage right. Let's just
stage right.
that's
Okay.
right.
Okay.
And Ryan McNeice. And Ryan, you have some kind of a law
McNeice
firm?
Wheeler in
Yeah.
Spokane Valley.
And what else do you own?
Spokane Talks.
Oh.
Share that role with you.
Yeah. All right. So I better be good.
So insanity really runs in your family.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, Don.
This is an interesting one, though. Because
Yes.
I think Don and I point and counterpoint in that we don't necessarily disagree on the issues, and we ultimately came with separately with the same information. With the concept of fiduciary duties.
Okay, see, now that was my first problem this morning.
What
I
is a
spelled
fiduciary?
I spelled it fiduciary, not fiduciary.
Right.
With an I.
Splitting hairs, right?
Yeah.
But the concept of good faith and fair dealing and having your client's interests.
It's more in the forefront today than
paramount.
ever, isn't it?
And I think why Don and I were gravitated towards this issue to chat about today is from an attorney's standpoint, as I'm an attorney. He's in the financial advising business. As an attorney, that's always been the case. The standard is the fiduciary duty to your client. The client is, whether it's a conflict of interest issue, the client comes first in all cases. With the new legislation, I'll let...
You can hear the laughter out there in the public, right?
Yeah.
Are you saying there's an attorney joke?
There are so many attorney
Yeah.
jokes there, Ryan.
We don't have the 4 hours we need.
But the truth
Don.
is, lawyers are and always have been held to a fiduciary standard.
Right.
My industry, which is not a unitary industry, there's lots of pieces, is sometimes held to a fiduciary standard, sometimes held to a standard of suitability, and sometimes to a standard of merchantability.
Okay.
And what the federal government is trying to do and has been talking about for a long time is applying a uniform standard across everyone who gives advice to people who have individual retirement accounts.
Okay.
One of the interesting challenges
Which is always going to be some kind of something that you're doing, or most likely going to be part of your
but
package.
banks do
Yes.
IRAs, insurance agents do IRAs, gold dealers do IRAs.
Right.
People that sell registered products, registered being a term of art meaning the suitability standard, they sell stuff in IRAs, and financial advisors and those who are already fiduciaries
But maybe
give
the
advice.
explanation of suitability versus in best interest of.
So
client.
if you're a client of a registered representative, a broker dealer, and you call up and you say, hey, in my IRA, I want to buy 100 shares of that company. And it's a company that is so risky that it's not suitable for the old you. We're going to make you 80 years old. The advisor, the registered representative, has a responsibility to say to you, that's not a suitable investment. And so if you want to buy that, you've got to sign a letter stating that I didn't recommend it.
Right.
If, on the other hand, the advisor were to call you, the registered rep were to call you and say, hey, I want you to buy 1,000 shares of this other company that is suitable, and I want to charge you $1,000, $1 a share, and you said, sure, I want that, do that, then the registered representative has the responsibility to execute your order timely and at the price they quoted you. And that's it. The fact that you could have gone to an online trading company and got that for $5.95 for that same $1,000 doesn't apply. That there's no reason that you should feel badly. You agreed to the price, you paid it.
Right.
If a certified financial planner was in the picture, they are automatically a fiduciary.
Which is the world I'm used to, because it's baked into you that
but what the
you
federal
have to have your client's interest at heart.
Well, and I would argue most of the registered reps care about their clients. They want to do right by them. But they're not going to automatically give them the best price. They're going to give them a reasonable price. That's not far off from what a fiduciary standard is. There is a difference, but it's hard to find with a microscope.
Well, and isn't that part of the definitions that's built into the new law in terms of reasonable?
No, the new law bastardizes the whole definition. Their whole goal was to lower costs, as if that's the only definition of a fiduciary. And so the interpretation, and the worst part of this whole thing, is the Department of Labor has rolled out hundreds of pages of rules and dozens and dozens of frequently asked questions about them, but they don't tell you what you have to do. They simply say, there's the rules, figure it out.
Here's my, I think, even 10,000-foot view, though. If you were...
He's glazing over.
Well, you know, I was giving my producer a bad time because I asked
He's just glazing over.
Ryan, do you want to just host this segment? And I'm essentially telling him that's what's happening right now.
Well,
so I'm giving you a bad time behind your back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which I do all the time.
Here's the important part, though, about having you in this piece. What would you think the duty, if you go see an attorney, or you go see a financial advisor, what would you think their obligation to you is for any of the advice they're giving to you?
I think to be open and to give me options.
Would you expect them to be selling on, we're generalizing here, of course, but
on commission.
But commission, price, veer you left versus right, or in an attorney standpoint, although all this is subjective, of course, but if that isn't the best choice for you in terms of going left or right from an attorney standpoint, that's malpractice. But for a financial advisor, if they steer you towards this product on price versus this might have been more suitable to you, I think that's, I mean,
well,
again,
if it's suitable,
I'm
then you've got to go with the more suitable. But if the price is the issue, then you're wandering into the new definition of fiduciary. And even there, it gets tough. There are products that are 10-year products where the commission, let's just use a number. Let's say it's a 6% commission on $100,000. All right. I don't know about you, but if you take 6% of $100,000, that's $6,000. That sounds like a big commission, or like what a realtor charges.
Right.
But if you take $6,000, spread it over 10 years, that's $50 a month. Is that an excess commission? In the new world, what appears to be the way the industry is going to work is say, we're not going to charge you any commission on that $100,000. We're going to charge you 1% a year. You're going to pay $1,000 every year for 10 years.
So fee-based versus commission.
There's a big push, and the big companies, and the article you and I printed out talks about the big four. I won't name names, but they have been the big winners in this because they have the size and scope to manage the regulatory risk and the litigatory risk. You like those $20 words?
Yes.
Small firms can't. And what's going to happen?
Because of technology
and compliance. And compliance is another one of those $20 words that means the government has published regulations that leave room for the lawyers to claim we hurt you. And so we've got to protect ourselves by building systems and charging enough that we can afford all this. So if your account's too small, too bad. Go find somewhere. We can't help you. And I think that's the first thing we ought to talk about is what's the consequence of this rule?
But to kind of follow up, though, what's your responsibility to tell me, Kent, here are some options, or I would at least suggest that you ask somebody else these questions so that you feel comfortable and have done. I mean, when we were forming the partnership for this company, you know, Ryan
That's
wrote
actually
it
a
up
really good point.
and so forth, but he said,
Go get a lawyer.
yeah, go get a lawyer. I couldn't find a good one in his office, but I mean, no, I'm kidding. But I mean, there was that.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
it's a good
just a
point,
reminder,
though.
Kent, you have a responsibility in a sense. It's, you know, that you feel comfortable and that you've asked all the questions with somebody else.
So banks go through this too.
That's
You
a
go
very
to the
good point.
bank and you say, I want to open an
Yeah.
IRA. Do they have a responsibility to say you could also own this, this, or this? What if you just want to put $100 into your IRA? So it's a good question,
Yeah.
but
This is a very difficult, complex.
does everybody need the same exact standard for every transaction? And here's the other problem. So let's pretend that Kent has $1 million. Try not to laugh, Kent. And don't tell your wife I said you had $1 million.
I won't.
She won't believe me.
No, she won't.
You got $1 million, 200,000 is in an IRA, 800,000 is in a regular taxable account. I'm a fiduciary on your IRA under this standard, but I can be a broker on the other 800,000.
Okay.
If I abuse you over here and you go to an attorney, they're going to say, but you did the right thing over here. Why did you do the wrong thing over here? So in essence, even though the federal government's claiming oversight just on retirement assets,
Right.
they're forcing the whole industry
Okay.
to abide by
into,
that.
I think so.
Let's maybe combine those two, because you were just mentioning in terms of the disclaimer.
Yes.
That we spoke of.
Right.
that You've had an opportunity. Options suitable for you, and maybe speak to the acronym BICE, the Best Interest Contract Exemption, which essentially would be a part of the new standard
Yeah,
to have the client. It's the disclaimer, if you will,
Okay.
financial.
And is that something that the client then signs, that they've been advised of all these things?
yeah, and this is my personal opinion, but that was a very large bone toss to the Trial Lawyers Association, because what the best interest contract exception says is you, Mr. Client, are going to agree to pay commissions instead of fees, to be under the broker-dealer world rather than the fiduciary world of the registered investment advisor. But I've got to act like I'm a fiduciary, even though we're not.
Yeah, it's certainly putting it
And-
into a category.
And
signing that.
even though our agreement generically is that we have a dispute, we'll arbitrate it, you get to go to court on this one if I break any of the arbitrary and rather nebulous rules that have been given to us. And so a lot of smaller firms have just said, we're not going to do that.
Right,
Some
right.
mid-sized firms and one or two big ones said, we're not going to do that. We will only work in
Okay.
the fiduciary world, and we won't use the BICE. What it's doing is it's raising costs and
Right.
reducing consumer choice.
That's what I was going to say. Welcome to the government getting in the way again.
Well, that's,
You know, I
but
mean,
they're solving a
don't we-
problem that isn't there, in my opinion.
Don't we have some responsibilities on ourselves, if I have that $1 million, to ask the right question?
I think so.
I mean,
Yeah, again, when we were talking in the green room, this is a very complex issue.
Yeah.
We could argue both sides of it. But that question specifically, would you go back to that? Back to lawyer,
no.
right? So would you expect your financial advisor not in your best interest?
No.
So yes, each individual has a responsibility,
right.
but there also
Well,
is
and I can
this-
ask the simple question, Don.
Right.
What else do I need to know? And therefore, I've opened up the question.
part of that disclosure, though, is what else do I need to know? This product is more expensive than this product. Full disclosure.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and
But if I ask that question, then you have to lay it out for me, don't
sure.
you?
And in fact,
Or you can tell me to go away. But I mean,
correct. But that happens, and there
Yeah.
are some people that do bad things.
Yeah.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but lawyers sometimes
Yeah.
break their own rules.
Yeah, I've not heard of that, but I'm
Trust me,
kidding.
it happens.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of people giving advice
Yeah.
actually care about their client.
Yeah.
There's an inherent conflict of interest if you're getting paid. There is an inherent
Yeah.
conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And that's a reality.
yeah.
But-
Except that you're getting paid to have the client's best interest.
Sure. But when
Well,
the federal government says there's a
That's in theory, and 99.99% of attorneys, financial people
Right.
follow through on that.
Absolutely.
It's the very small percentage that we end up writing these humongous rules for.
Speaking
See,
of that,
I'd
you
rather
know-
criminalize that behavior
Mm-hmm.
and not get into these massive civil rules.
Yes.
Well, Kent makes a good 1,020,
Oh, that's all.
1,020 page. So
Oh,
we
wow.
gave you 34 and 18 respectively. This is 1,023 page.
And I'd
Oh,
argue
I'm glad
that
you didn't
nobody's
send that.
ever
I
read
don't
the
have
whole
enough
thing.
ink.
No, no.
So,
And,
hey,
and you're right about
We're
litigation.
out of town.
We
time.
can't be out of time. We
Yes,
just started.
We're always.
We
out
just
of
started arguing. How can we
Yeah,
be done
yeah,
with this?
great. And a financial person and an attorney. And we end the program on that. One real quick mention is that somebody in your office just got sworn in
Tom
yesterday.
Schrum, our patent attorney, intellectual
Yeah.
property attorney, just got
Who
sworn
comes
in.
often.
Yep, does a great job. He
Yeah.
just got sworn in at the federal bar
I
yesterday.
thought you said they were swearing at him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
they were behind the
okay.
scenes
Yeah.
probably.
Well, we swear at him a lot here,
Yeah.
but usually we're during commercial break. But anyway, Tom's a good guy. We like him. And Don and Ryan, thank you. Interesting.
you.
I
Thank
was
you.
able to stay awake for most of the discussion. I think the key is for us as consumers to ask questions
Yes.
Right.
of our experts,
Yes.
because and you may not know from our standpoint what we're all thinking as well, and so it's that come back to have a good conversation and ask the questions. So
And on our side, to be humble enough to say we don't know, but we'll find out.
yes, and you do that. I know that, Ryan. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he does. He does. I give him a bad time. Hey, thanks for watching
Thank you.
Spokane Talks Live. And are you doing a show this afternoon?
Yes, have Darren Rell from Specialty Training Inc.
Okay.
coming in.
All right.
For
On
Business
Business
Talks.
Talks.
Yep.
All right. That'll be posted in the next 24 hours. Thanks a lot. Have a great week. We'll see you here next week.
Thank you.
Spokane Talks Live is produced in Spokane, Washington by Spokane Talks Online LLC, which is solely responsible for its content. To recommend a guest or topic, or to see this program again, please visit our website, SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Join us next Wednesday, noon, for another nourishing conversation on Spokane Talks Live.